Look, teachers want to go back to school. The question isn't whether they want to go back or not. They want to go back, make sure it's safe. That's the question. How do we do it safely? Teachers are fiercely protective of their students and their communities, and they're not going to let their students or their communities get hurt because of a half-baked plan. They want to make sure it's happening. Look, each workplace and community faces unique challenges related to COVID-19. And to ensure that reopening plans address those challenges, you're going to have broader worker and community involvement. That's going to be necessary. It's going to take investment, Sarah. We need investment in infrastructure to physically distance, to stagger classes, to provide personal equipment, to test, to trace, and to isolate, to make sure we have proper ventilation, to make sure that we do proper cleaning. All of those take money, and the president should be figuring out how to help us pay for those and pass the HEROES Act, which will help those communities open those schools rather than attacking schools and teachers.
All those things obviously would be great and are necessary. However, the economy is reopening. They take time, too. And for the economy to fully reopen, we need kids to go back to school. So why isn't it good enough that teachers wear masks and socially distance like the rest of workers that are going back to work?
Well, if you listen to what I said, first of all, we do have to physically distance. That takes money. You do have to stagger classes. You have to have personal protective equipment. You have to test, trace, and isolate. Because if you get those kids back to school and they get sick or the teachers get sick, we haven't done anything. And you're absolutely right about this, Sarah. The economy can't open unless schools open. And schools can't stay open unless we do it properly and safely. And that's why it's so important for the president to help us pass the HEROES Act so that we can help those local governments open those schools as quickly as possible and as safely as possible.
I wanted to pivot you, if I could, Richard, to the news that we've heard from United Airlines. They plan to furlough around 36,000 workers, about a third of their frontline employees. Of course, this comes after they received government help, which was always flagged as being allowed after the end of September. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, it would be devastating for them to start that trend and to lay off 36,000 workers, not just to those 36,000 workers, but to every community that they're in. That's why we need to pass the HEROES Act. It will help those companies keep people on the payroll. It will help local governments open schools. It will do the things necessary for us to get the economy back open in a safe way so that we can keep it open rather than have a bunch of false starts when we do this thing politically like we saw in Texas and a couple of other places.
Richard Trumka, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.